Welcome back to Thought Experiment Month with Carneades.org. Today we're going to begin a new series that's going to continue after Thought Experiment Month entitled Doubting Truth, Justice, and the American Way. This is going to be a series focusing on questioning some of our basic values that we often take for granted. The first we're going to look at is freedom. And what better way to do so but with What is Wrong with Slavery, a paper written by R.M. Hare. At the beginning of the paper, Hare writes, "Nearly everybody would agree that slavery is wrong, and I can say this perhaps with greater feeling than most, having, in a manner of speaking, been a slave." Hare is going to say, sure, we all have this intuition, but can we back it up with rational argument? And in fact, that's what I'm going to be doing in this whole series of videos, attempting to back up our intuitions, or see if our intuitions can be backed up with rational argument. Hare's going to do this through the lens of utilitarianism. If you don't know, utilitarianism is the idea that what is good is whatever gives the most people the most pleasure. Hare's going to show that this idea of possibly kind of a good slavery shows that there is something that would give the most people the most pleasure, but our intuitions would tell us is not good because we think that slavery is somehow inherently bad. It's important to note that he's contrasting slavery in reality and slavery in principle. He completely admits that slavery in reality was something that was bad. What he's going to look at is, can we come up with a justification for how slavery in principle is bad? In order to do so, we'll look at a thought experiment. So, imagine we have two islands, Juba and Jamaica. In Juba, a former Spanish colony, slavery is continued after colonialism is ended. Slaves have rights, they have a high standard of living, and cruel punishment is completely outlawed. Seems like a pretty good place to be. Jamaica, on the other hand, is also a former Spanish colony, but has abolished slavery. There's a lack of structure, starvation, misery, and eventually people start to swim over to Juba in the attempt to gain that standard of living and, in fact, become a slave. The question for the utilitarian is, if slavery is in fact creating happiness while abolishing it would create pain, is it a good thing? The questions, however, that the utilitarian can pose back are, is it possible for slavery like that in Juba to exist? Or are people who have absolute control over others going to inherently use that to do evil? Could Juba have maintained order while still abolishing slavery? Is there some happy medium between Juba and Jamaica that would work out for the best? And, of course, even if the utilitarian cannot speak out against this kind of slavery, they can still speak out against all the other kinds that have ever existed. That was What is Wrong with Slavery. Next up is Mary's Room, Time Without Change, The Plank of Carneades, and we'll finish up with a spooky Halloween surprise. Watch a new video every single day this month at Carneades.org, and stay skeptical, everybody.